6 things you can check by yourself, do it by yourself without the aid of a mechanic on your car, on any car you use or own. Number 1, you can check the engine oil level of your car just by looking at the dipstick. You know whether the oil is at its correct gauge or whether it's clean enough. The one in this car is really okay, it's clean enough. Number 2, you can check your transmission fluid. Some cars have transmission dipsticks, some don't. This particular vehicle doesn't have a dipstick, so you have to rely on when you're doing transmission oil changes. But if your car has one, you can check that by yourself. The third thing you can check by yourself is, of course, your coolant levels. This is the coolant reservoir for this car. This is where you put it onto. The radiator doesn't even have a cover. So if this one is full, then the radiator is fine. So you can check the level. There is usually a low mark and a full mark. So in this car, particularly, it is at the normal optimal level. You can see. So you could check and you can add more coolant if needed. Some people put water here, but water shouldn't be here. It's coolant that should be here. Number 4 that you can check by yourself is your hydraulic fluid, otherwise called a brake fluid. You can see the level, note the level it should be in. You could check that regularly. Another indicator of a worn brake pad can be the level of your, the brake fluid. If your brake pads are worn, you're going to have it go down, and as soon as they are replaced and the system is bled, it's going to come up. There can be leakages too in the system that would also make the fluid go down. So you trace such leakages. So usually if your fluid just goes down, investigate first before you just top off. If not, you're going to have it go down too, because it can be problems with the master cylinder, leaking into the brake booster, or some other issues. So you can check those kind of problems or those kind of things by yourself. Again, you can check your power steering fluid. If your car is the mechanical, the hydraulic power steering, power assisted steering, you can check that. But in some cars, you're going to discover that it's electric. In this vehicle, for example, it's not hydraulic, it's electric. So you cannot check that in this car. You're just going to depend on the functionality of the steering. So these are things you can check for yourself. Number 6, and the last thing you can check for yourself is what? Your tires. You can see the current state of your tires. In this car, for example, you can see the teeth. You can see that it still has a lot of life in it. So you look at it and then you know. You do the same for all 4. Another thing you can check to know whether your tire is in good shape or whether it needs replacement is to check the manufacturing date, when it was manufactured. You don't want to use tires that are really old. You don't want to use tires that are worn, even though they look good. So the manufacture date is really important. For really good tires, they may go 3 years and above, depending on your driving usage. For China tires, usually after 1 year, you're looking at another replacement. So these 6 things you can check on your own. You don't need to go to a mechanic workshop. You can do it at home just to be sure your car is running properly.